This is not an occasion to stir up emotions, but it is impossible to forget that men, women, and children of our kith and kin were taken out of their beds and slaughtered. They were massacred in places of worship, in the streets, in marketplaces, and in vehicles trying to carry them to safety.
People were being massacred all over Nigeria. And to be able to give them better protection in the circumstance available, when within the means available to me, what was done was, once you cross this line, you are home and safe. And Biafra, to a large extent, was in fact that line.
The Nigerian Civil War, often referred to as the Biafran War, is usually depicted as a necessary conflict to preserve the unity of Nigeria. But this simplistic narrative misses the deeper, more complex issues that fueled the war, particularly for the Igbo people. The war wasn't about power-hungry Igbo leaders wanting to secede. The roots of the conflict go back to the ethnic and political tensions that plagued Nigeria in the 1960s. After gaining independence in 1960, Nigeria was a young nation struggling to unite its diverse regions. The 1966 military coup, which saw the assassination of northern political leaders, created deep mistrust, especially in the north, where the coup was seen as an Igbo power grab.
They thought that they occupied everything in the place. There were civil servants, there were railwaymen, there were teachers. They wanted the Igbos to go home because they had taken the jobs of all the northerners.
The counter-coup later that year led to widespread massacres of Igbos in the northern region. Facing systematic violence, the Igbo-led eastern region, under Colonel Ojukwu, declared independence as Biafra in 1967. The decision to secede wasn't a rash move driven by ambition. It was a desperate attempt to protect the Igbo people from further massacres. Moreover, Biafra sat on some of Nigeria's richest oil reserves, making the region strategically vital. The Nigerian government, with support from foreign powers like the UK, was not about to let this resource-rich region break away.
Gowon signed off the entire oil gas reserves of eastern Nigeria to the British for 50 years, more or less contracting the war to Britain. The British, which held those concessions via Shell, had to parcel out substantial blocks of their holdings to the other world powers and permanent members of the UN Security Council. Thus, the entire Gulf oil and Mobil, US, ELF, France, Egypt, Italy.
The war also saw the Nigerian government employing harsh strategies, including blockades that led to a severe humanitarian crisis. The starvation of civilians in Biafra was not just a tragic consequence of war. It was a deliberate strategy to force the Igbos into submission. After the war, the slogan, "No victor, no vanquished," was meant to symbolize reconciliation, but the reality was far different. The Igbos faced economic disenfranchisement, including policies like the $20 limit on Biafran bank accounts, which crippled their financial recovery. Despite this, the Igbo people showed incredible resilience, rebuilding their communities and becoming one of the most entrepreneurial groups in Nigeria. The narrative that the Nigerian Civil War was purely about preserving unity oversimplifies the truth. The Igbo people weren't just rebellious secessionists, they were fighting for their survival, their land, and their future.
Niger Delta was a creation of the North to manage its interests in eastern Nigeria.
This perspective is essential in understanding the full story of the war and its lasting impact on Nigeria.